Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
Goes around to Gumake, drives baseline, and shot rejected by Izzy McMagor.
In pain after she caught that fingertip in the eye or right around it.
And kind of swatted at Caitlin. Did you intend to hit her in the eye?
I feel like I'm just at the point where you accept it and don't retaliate. Like, you know, just let them hit you, be what it is. Don't let it get inside your head. And know it's coming. I think at this point, like, I know I'm going to take a couple hard shots a game. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know.
Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA carrying massive fan and media attention. Viewed as the top name from college basketball and a player who could inject new life into the league. But many veterans did not ease her in. Instead, she was met with hard fouls, cold remarks, and loud trash talk. Some of that is normal for rookies. But with Clark, it clearly went further. And now the pattern is hard to miss. Players who try to disrespect her often end up watching her respond with a huge performance. Every long three she buries over someone who started talking sends the same warning. She is not the player to challenge like that. That says plenty about how serious her rise already is. Especially when you consider how quickly she has adapted to a more physical game and a much tougher level of competition. Most people always knew she had the talent, but many doubted whether she could deal with the contact in this league. Early in her rookie year, she became a target for players chasing attention, and that treatment continued even after she began putting up historic numbers. To her credit, Clark never really looked shaken. She stayed composed in public, kept her comments measured, and gradually began standing her ground when stronger and older players tried to bully her. The list of players who have gone at her includes everyone from other rookies to veteran names. A lot of WNBA players seem convinced they are better than Clark, but too many of them do not back that up when the game matters most. One thing keeps repeating. If you trash talk someone as gifted and competitive as Caitlin Clark, you usually bring out her best. One example came from Dana Evans of the Chicago Sky, a tough undersized guard who plays with clear edge. During a game against Indiana, Evans looked determined to show the rookie that nothing would come easy at this level. That part is understandable, but she went too far. On one drive, as Caitlin got past her toward the rim, Evans tied her up and basically shoved her into another defender, Chindy Carter. Clark got caught between both players in a rough collision and was fortunate it did not end worse. There also seemed to be words exchanged that the microphones missed. That moment could have rattled a younger or less confident player, but for Clark, it seemed to do the opposite. Instead of losing focus, she got even sharper and started scoring at a high level right away. That is one of the clearest things about Clark. She is not easy to intimidate, and she is ready to absorb contact if that is what it takes to prove she belongs. She does not respond with cheap behavior or drama. She responds by controlling the game. Chicago wanted her frustrated, but instead they ended up helping her settle in and beat them. And the talking does not only come when she has the ball. Players also complain when she gives back the same physical play she deals with all the time. So when she takes contact, she gets called soft, but when she delivers a hard foul herself, suddenly that is an issue too. A good example came against Kalia Copper of the Phoenix Mercury. Clark stopped Copper on a drive with a foul, and Copper immediately began talking and getting in her face. It never turned into anything major, but it was another clear example of the double standard Clark deals with. The replay showed a normal foul that most coaches would live with, especially to prevent an easy bucket. Clark kept it simple and told her it was just a foul before walking away. That reaction mattered. She did not let the play become a side fight. She stayed locked in, helped Indiana keep control, and made important passes late as the Fever closed out another win. Her court vision in the final stretch stood out because instead of forcing difficult shots against pressure, she broke down the defense and found open teammates. It is also odd that some of the biggest cheap shots at Clark have come from older veterans who should know better. One example was Las Vegas Aces guard Alicia Clark, a three-time WNBA champion and highly respected veteran. At this stage of her career, she should not be taking reckless swings at rookies. Yet in one game, she hit Caitlin in the head hard enough that nobody could miss it. Then, she acted upset at the whistle like it had been a clean play, even though the contact was obvious. Clark handled that situation like the more mature player. She checked her eye, joined the huddle, and went straight back to work without creating a scene. And after that hit, her game improved. She found a rhythm, made smart decisions, knocked down shots, and finished with a double-double of 13 points and 11 assists. Indiana still lost to a better Aces team, so maybe that was not full payback yet. But Clark still made sure the foul did not take her out of her game. Seattle tried a similar strategy, and paid for it as well. In a game against the Storm, several players tried to bump Clark around and throw off her timing. But the ugliest moment came from Victoria Vivians, who had once played for Indiana. After Clark knocked down another deep three, Vivian started jawing as they ran back the other way, and the tension rose fast. It looked serious enough that teammates had to step in before it turned into something bigger. The crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse reacted immediately because they understood exactly what Vivians was trying to do. Clark, once again, did not take the bait. She calmly walked away from the noise and headed toward her coach. Then she got back to work. At that point, Seattle still had the lead, so there was plenty of game left. Clark answered by taking command. She attacked the rim, hit from long range, made smart defensive plays, and completely changed the pace of the game. By the end, she had 23 points and 9 assists, while Vivians finished with 0 points in 9 minutes. Even more important, Indiana won by nearly 20 despite entering the game behind Seattle in the standings. Once Clark took over, the outcome no longer felt close. Another interesting example was Diana Taurasi. She is one of the greatest players in women's basketball history, with titles, an MVP, and a long career as one of the sport's defining guards. So yes, she has earned the right to speak on the game. Before the season, Taurasi made comments about Clark that were not overly harsh, but they clearly suggested the rookie was about to learn that the WNBA is a different world from college, and that there are levels to this. That may have sounded fair at first, but the tone also felt a little too bold for someone already near the end of her career. At 42, Taurasi was no longer really in position to act like she would personally teach that lesson. When they finally faced each other, the result went the other way. Clark nearly posted a triple-double with 15 points, 12 assists, and 9 rebounds, and Indiana won comfortably. Taurasi scored 19 for Phoenix, but she could not carry her team to a win and ended up watching the rookie she had warned people about run the game. Clark did not get distracted trying to win some private feud. She played her game, created for teammates, and let the final score do the talking. Still, no team has looked more fixated on Clark than the Chicago Sky. And 2 players in particular have fully embraced the villain role. One is Chindi Carter, a talented but often reckless guard whose urge to play enforcer can go too far. Her most infamous moment came on a dead ball when she shoved Clark right after Caitlin had made a big 3. It was not a basketball play at all. It was pure frustration and obvious intimidation, the kind of thing you rarely see now. Carter got hit with a flagrant, Clark got free throws, and in the end the move only hurt Chicago. The Sky lost that game and were later swept by Indiana in the season series, so the idea that Carter could throw Clark off clearly failed. Carter later tried to sound calm after the game and said nothing personal was involved, but online that shove cemented her image as one of Clark's biggest haters. And instead of cooling things down later, Carter added more heat months afterward when ESPN released a ranking that placed Clark far ahead of her. Carter posted online complaining that the numbers did not make sense and acting like she had been slighted. But at that time, Clark was producing better all-around numbers, especially with her scoring, league-leading assists, and similar steal totals. So Carter's reaction only sounded bitter. Even so, she may not be Clark's biggest rival in the Sky. That title probably belongs to Angel Reese, whose history with Clark goes back to college. Their Rookie of the Year battle only brought more attention to that rivalry. To Reese's credit, she has at least been open in interviews about the fact that she talks trash and sees it as part of competing. She has also said she respects Clark and likes her game. That sounds fair on the surface. But then came another hard foul, this time during live action, where Reese hit Clark in the head. People can decide for themselves what the intent was, but it became another major headline. Once again, Clark barely reacted. She fixed her headband, checked in with her coach, and kept it moving. But she probably remembered it. In the next game against Chicago, Clark looked especially sharp and nearly recorded a triple-double with 23 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds as Indiana won again. By now, there is more than enough proof that trash-talking Caitlin Clark usually backfires. She plays with real poise under pressure and does not waste energy on insults, hard fouls, or players trying to get into her head. She answers with the only thing that matters most, her play. She has already quieted a lot of people without saying much at all. That is part of what makes her different. Her talent is loud enough by itself. Of course, this probably will not stop. As her career keeps growing, she is still going to face moments like these because that is what happens to players who bring this much attention and this much pressure into a league. But the way she handles it is exactly what it should be. She stays focused, keeps competing, and turns bad energy into great performances. Over time, that approach is going to win. All she really needs to do is keep making those deep shots, keep piling up big games, and keep helping Indiana win. If she does that, the message will become impossible to ignore. The more people try to provoke Caitlin Clark, the more likely they are to bring out the version of her that beats them.